Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. So during this chit-chat session, the main topic that I'll be discussing is the future of our industry, whether it's going to be virtual, whether it's going to be physical, back to physical, or what other things that are going to change. So the first question that I would want to ask all of you, and probably we'll start with you, Gerard, is what do you think the future is going to be? Just address that question straight away. Do you think it's going to be fully virtual? Do you think it's going to be hybrid? Do you think this situation is temporary, or it is going to prolong, or this is the future? Yep.
Well, thank you, Rahul, for your question. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here, especially to be on a panel with the future of our industry. I really like that. And to answer your question, I'll try to answer it as accurate as possible for my own feelings. Yes, there's a future for face-to-face events. There's a future for exhibitions, for business events. How that future exactly looks will also depend on how long the current situation will prolong and where and in which intensity. In general, if I look at the exhibition industry, there's a good feeling that there will be a bounce back as virtual events are not able to replace the real experience of live events. I mean, the fact that we're here in a room together, networking, seeing each other, it's just a different experience than it is online. But having said that, I do believe that the nature of trade exhibitions, which is my field of work, will definitely change for good. As the role of trade exhibitions also is evolving with people and companies now being obligated to use online methods to find their leads, to find their business. And they're getting good at that. So that means that their need for exhibitions will change in that sense, and they're looking at return of investment will also change. But it will have a bright future, and I think the moment we will be able to travel, for example, a lot of people will want to travel, and in that sense, Malaysia is, and I saw it on the movie here where we started, is a fantastic destination because the situation is managed here so well. So I'm looking at a bright future for Malaysia. We just don't know when exactly that's going to happen.
But what are your predictions? Let's say if you're going back to virtual and a bit of mix of tech, as you say. So when do you think that's going to happen?
Now, if you look at us, so we're an exhibition organizer. We're the biggest global player. So we've been also overwhelmed by this situation. I can say quite honestly. When this started in December, January, Wuhan, we thought, okay, something's happening, but we didn't really anticipate on the impact. But it became pretty soon pretty clear that the impact was going to be a bit bigger and bigger than we thought. So we were already in the process of implementing digital elements in, for example, our marketing, social media, etc. So it's not that we were starting from scratch when it comes to digital, but we were forced, of course, to mainly look for solutions for our clients, and solutions in that sense is that companies are looking for leads, they're looking for business, they're looking for ways to how to sell their products and services. And we do have those databases traditionally made up of visitors of our trade shows. So we made a leap, and we've accelerated very fast in doing virtual. And I think it will be a permanent component of our live events in the future. And we're getting better at it, but it's a learning curve we're in currently.
How about you, Wai? So what do you think from the academic standpoint? Where do you see this headed?
For me, first of all, a very good morning to everyone. My take will be on actually both. So we do have, or we feel that face-to-face will still be there. But of course, we are now in an era where technologies are being there. More technologies are up. So we will actually have that technology infused in it. So what I feel that my thoughts is, like I mentioned, so it's going to be face-to-face with technology, whether it is to replace certain elements in the event itself, or even to maybe enhance the experience there. Yeah, so
So, which means you're saying that it will go back to face-to-face, but with some elements from tech, or we'll be carrying some elements of tech from right now.
Yeah.
But when do you think that is going to happen?
Of course, we look at the situation right now. Perhaps, maybe, hopefully next year, because I feel that business event, what is business event when we don't meet people, like physically? We come for a business event because we want to catch up, we want to meet new people, we want to network. So I feel that is one of the, although we can do it virtually, but I really think that human touch should be there and it's important. So yeah.
How about you, Emily? What do you think? I mean, from what you have seen or events that you have attended, what you have studied so far, did the syllabus or did any discussion prepare you for hybrid or even completely virtual? And what do you think about the future?
Hi everyone, I'm Emily. So as for me, I'm a student now, I'm a third year, and for my point is that for the virtual, since I'm a student, I've never been into any business event, because since more up to till today, it's my first few months that we experience this virtual event, and also virtual studies and also hybrid, so it's our first time. So as for me, as a student, it's quite hard for us because we have to make discussion, we have to plan up event virtually, we meet up with friends through the web itself, through Skype, so it's a perception towards us. As for me, to my friends, it's like, okay, they say yes, but for me, it's like, oh, are they saying yes? Because we're not looking them face to face, we don't know what's their body language, their non-verbal language, are they okay with it? Maybe they just say yes, but inside them, they are not. So as for me, it's quite hard for me, but as a student, it's something new, it's a new norm for us, everyone, and also as a student, it's a new norm, so it's quite challenging, but yet, it's quite new for us to learn. So as for the recent month, few months ago, we did a virtual event eventually. Virtual events was successful, it's very new for us, and for this semester, we'll be doing a virtual event as well. So it's like, it's a new event, because previously, what we did was a physical event, we'll be attending exhibition, we're going this and that, we talk face to face, but this time it's virtually. So it's very new to us, and it's a very good experience for us as well.
But do you think this is how the future would be? Would it be completely virtual as you're organizing right now, or do you think it will be back to what it was?
As for now, since we are comfortable already, we started to be more comfortable with virtual events. So I believe it's like we're now moving more forward to the virtual style itself. Now itself, we're doing hybrid classes. So meaning that we do attend physically, but also at the same time, our international students, they still can make up in the online session there. So it's like, for me, it will go far for this event.
Okay. How about you, Bridgette? What's your thought?
Thank you. For me, right, I would still prefer physical class rather than online classes, because it is really hard when we have to stay focused all the time in front of our screen. So sometimes we will get distracted, but we need to connect with people. And we need to connect, and so that when we are doing our assignments, we have to discuss with our classmates as well. But for me, I think we are trying to adapt with this virtual learning as well. So same as Emily, we did a virtual event called Leeuwenburgh, and we think it's really interesting and exciting because it's our first time, and it's a success as well. And we met a lot of new vendors, and they are also adapting with this situation as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I have one more question for both of you. With this recent change, has there been any change in kind of discussion or even the syllabus that you are studying? Is there a new introduction of a chapter, a subject which talks specifically about virtual, or has there been no change since last few months?
As for now, because we just started our semester, this is our first week of semester, new semester, so they are still discussing to make changes.
Okay.
But as for us, we are still going to the physical type. We are still staying with the same subject.
Okay.
But the event itself, because we are supposed to do event this semester, but we'll be going virtually instead of physically.
Definitely. And why? How about as from lecture point of view, are you discussing with your peers that there should be a change in what they're studying right now or how they're being taught, because preparing them for the future?
For teaching wise, I think we have to adapt to different styles. So we now, for us, is also we are doing both a hybrid class, which is online and also physical class. So it will be, for when we teach, is definitely different, because for online we have to think of ways to engage with the students. Yeah, like what they mentioned, it is a general thing that all students have where, sorry, their attention span is very short in the online classes. So we have to really think of ways to actually engage with them, break down our classes into smaller chunks, so give them more breaks. As compared to physical class, because there is face-to-face interaction, there is like the body language, the eye contact and all that, so they are always on their toes on that part. So definitely, to answer your question, there will be some change in that. And for discussion with peers, yeah, we are trying to find ways to, engage. Managing expectation is what I always say, like, do communicate with our students and ask them, like, what would they more comfortable with, what will get them really engaged, so that, we can plan our classes and our lessons that they can learn more and productively as well. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks. So, Gerard, one more question for you. So, I mean, Informa have been organizing, I would say, most number of shows around the world and a lot of regions as well. So keeping this in mind, what is the next game plan? Let's say if this thing is going to be, let's say, going to take more than a year or a couple of years, what is Informa's standpoint, and then what are you guys planning to do in the future? How are you planning to still bring in all the stakeholders when you organize a trade show? Because it's not only organizing the trade show itself virtually, because then you're not able to bring in your vendors, you're not able to bring in venue, you're not able to bring in a lot of stakeholders, including a lot of buyers who might not be interested in just attending virtually. So what is there a game plan for that?
Yeah, a very good question, Rahul, and we're breaking up our brains on that, of course, as well. Currently, what we do is, as much as possible, within, of course, the boundaries of health and safety. But for example, here in Malaysia, it's very well possible to organize a B2B event with a domestic focus, which means, of course, that both visitors and exhibitors are domestically or representations of international brands present here in Malaysia. It's a matter of adhering to the SOPs, which are agreed upon with government. So that means that events are possible. Events like this, or even at a bigger scale, it just depends on the density and the safety. But of course, you have to also gain confidence of our customers in that. Is it the right return on investment? So we're working on that. So that's one stream of work we're working on. And we're adding virtual elements to what they call organize a hybrid event, where international participants, be it visitors or buyers or exhibitors, so people who want to supply to the Malaysian market, can have a presence, a virtual presence at the show in certain areas which are going to be dedicated to that, streamlining. So that's the way we want to keep the momentum going, and at the moment that certain travel bubbles are going to exist, for example with Singapore, we can add that element of Singaporean companies, or with Thailand, etc. So that is our game plan for the coming period, really looking at the situation on a day-to-day basis, because that's all we can do, but I think that accounts for everybody, and whenever it's possible, we will try to increase a bit on what we can do. And at the same time, of course, priority number one is health and safety, so adhering to the SOPs. And I think what that concerns, we are pretty lucky that we're in Malaysia. Yeah. So, does that answer your question?
So I have one very difficult question for both of you. So we've got many students in here, and I'm sure a lot of them would now be questioning, why did I choose events? Is there a future with events anymore? So can I get a statement from maybe you, from the academic standpoint again, and then from Gerard, where do you think the industry is headed, especially for these people who are right now fresh and wanted to enter into the industry. So maybe I can have you first, White.
I would say skills. The future of events is always there because let's take back to like way back where, how they started events and was more like, you meet people, and now we are slowly transitioning to like virtually, having more technologies like I mentioned. So for students who are, they usually think, like, oh my God, this is happening, so is there a future for it? Yes, there is, because we are now on a way that we are pivoting and we are also changing as how we live, even in our life as well. Like, if there's challenges, there's roadblocks, you find ways to go on with it. So similarly as well, if you have the set skills, you get to learn new things. Even for me as an educator as well, I feel that there's a lot of things to learn, and also definitely students will be able to, get more out of this. So it's something very different from what they have. And yeah, so skills, I would say there is future. Don't worry, there's no job. There are tons of it, and events is just, there's so many to it, so yeah.
I would agree. There's a future definitely for face-to-face. I hope so, because it's also my bread and butter. But and I think of many of us here. The moment it's possible, again, if borders are opening, and the moment more is possible, more will happen, because we want to meet people. But looking at the skill sets of students, I would say the digital skills are being more important. If I look at, for example, our marketing department, we have about 15 people working in the marketing department, and I really emphasize their digital marketing skills, which are independent of event marketing, but it's really about digital marketing skills, which also makes their employability much wider in that sense. I think what that concerns, the curriculum might change more towards do students, young people, understand the digital behavior of their potential customers. And I think they're very savvy with digital tools, much savvier than a little bit older people than I am. We did not grow up with smartphones, so I think that can only add value. But the human skills remain also very, very important. So yes, I think there's a few. At this moment, it looks a bit bleak for all of us, because so many events have been cancelled. But look, we're here in this event. Yesterday, I heard a lot of positive speeches from government, and again, I think we will rebound, and then we will rebound quite strong, because the need is there. But on the other hand, we have learned a lot on the digital area, which is going to be very useful.
So we have got two questions on Slido. So one is very similar to what I already asked. With the rise of hybrid event, had students been taught with skills needed to use new tech? And what's their salary expectation of fresh grad? So that's a tricky question, but I'll still let you handle that. What do you think, because again, there are so many students out there, I think probably one of them want to ask that. What do you think that these fresh grads can actually expect? What's the range if they're working in Malaysia and in this industry, let's say 1 year from now? Because right now would be a tricky time.
Maybe I'll answer the first one, whether they are focusing, like in terms of learning, they are focusing on tech. I gotta say, young generations, they are really good with technologies. In fact, I feel that I'm learning from them. As an educator, I feel that it's not just, my stand is like, it's not just one way where I teach them. I feel that one of the powerful tools is I learn from them as well. And I think this situation here, I get to learn more in terms of tech. They are really good, like in terms of like using Instagram, for example. We just know that, posting stories, post, right? And actually there are more to that, the way how they can design the posts, like some of the algorithms, there are a lot of that, and I actually honestly learned that from my students itself. So in terms of like, whether they are learning in terms of the tech-wise, right, trust me, they are really good at it. I think we can learn from them as well. For salary-wise, would you want to take that?
Yeah, of course, I take the difficult one. Well, I would agree with you when it comes to the skills. If I look at younger people in our company, they're fantastic making videos and stuff, and helping our customers as well. Uploading their videos on digital platforms. They're really guiding, I would say, customers in more traditional industries like metalworking or furniture here in Malaysia. And the younger people are much better at it than we are. As for salary expectations, I can only speak for our company, and I mean at the moment it's also very difficult for us. So if you look at the situation from a year on now, I think a starting salary in our company for a fresh grad would be about 2.5K, 3K, and then the growth possibilities are there pretty soon towards 5, 6, 7K in a number of years, and then if you go at a senior management level, you go towards 10, 15K. So I don't know if that's representative for the exhibition industry. I think we pay a little bit more than maybe our peers. I'm not really sure, but this is the range what we are looking at in our company.
So I think that answers that question. So there is a question directed to me. So I'm a panelist now. So. What are the general benefits of virtual events over face-to-face? And then I'm focusing on tech. How do you assess the current transition? So before I answer that, I'll just maybe take a question from the floor too, not just on Slido. If anyone is having difficulty typing in their question here, they can raise your hand, probably ask the question over here, if there is anyone. So I've got, for this question, I think there are definitely some benefits. I'm sure some of you would also agree that one of the biggest benefits that I've seen with my clients and with the events that we are handling, because we are more into conferences, not trade shows or exhibitions. So from the conferences point of view, there is a huge cost saving, because most of the time we are flying in high profile speakers from different regions, and a lot of time we are not able to get these speakers because let's say if they are based far west, they have to really travel here, spend few days, and only then fly back. So if they want to commit to an event that I'm organizing here in Malaysia, they have to commit at least 5 to 6 days and forget the jet lag. So there's more time for the jet lag. But when we are doing it hybrid or virtually, that's the biggest advantage. We do not spend 30 to 40,000 bringing a speaker here. And he also benefits because he doesn't have to travel, he doesn't have to spend a lot of time, which he would otherwise. Then apart from that, again, there is a disadvantage that, as mentioned earlier, that the time span, the attention span is very short. So that's one of the difficulty that we are facing. But to transition, it has not been very difficult, except for the fact that we have to really, really educate our clients and our clients' clients, because when I say clients' are our sponsors. So some of the sponsors, they do not really understand because they have not seen it before. So that's one of the biggest challenges that we face when we are transitioning. So, but again, it makes it so much more affordable. And for me, I personally believe if you start planning for a hybrid event like this one, I think it's one of the best combinations. So that's one of the best advantage, or the biggest advantage that I feel that is huge. And then it also, not just the speakers, but it also lets participants come in. If I wanted to just attend this session, I could have just joined in over Zoom this meeting, ask my question, get involved, as opposed to if I was, let's say, based in Singapore. It's really, really difficult for me to attend this session or come here just for 1 or 2 sessions that I'm interested in. So that's the major advantage. Now I've got one more question coming in. Culturally and traditionally, we are people who love interaction and grow on sharing. Will virtual education dilute this kind of value? So again, I would let you take that question first and then followed by you, because this can also be put in the context of trade consumers that you have been catering to.
So will education dilute? To me, that it won't dilute, because we will still do discussions. Although it's not face-to-face, it's virtually. I would like to highlight on the good points is that students who are, with our borders are closed, and students who want to take education from the comfort of their own home, they still can do it virtually. So Of course, in terms of interaction, it won't be diluted because, like I said, there will be discussion, whether it is on Zoom or like on Microsoft Teams. There still be some sort of interaction in there, and yeah, like I highlight, students are able to study like now because our borders are closed, and our international students or even students who are from Sabah, Sarawak, they are unable to fly, or their parents are worried about them. They still can take their education virtually, which is one of I think it's one of the plus point that doesn't stop them from learning. It's still able them to continue learning. It's just in a different environment. Yeah.
Right. So we have half a minute left, but I'll let you answer that before we close the session.
Yeah, well, virtual education dilute this kind of value. I would say maybe a bit. I mean, when we were at MCO, I don't know how you guys feel, but after 2 months, I got really bored with only virtual meetings and Zoom. And you literally see the beards growing at the other side. The first meeting, you still dress up a little bit on Zoom. I think it's different. I think the way of interacting is different. It's becoming mainstream, but like you said, Rahul, and I fully agree with that, this hybrid form is a really good way forward because we can have people present who could normally, in a normal situation, also be here in person, but it actually doesn't make that much difference because we're just listening to their content. So what that concerns, it can add value. I really believe in the hybrid format going forward, yeah, I mean, life is just better than Zoom. That's my opinion.
So thank you for that. I think we are running short of time now, so we'll close this session. But thank you again, everyone, for joining us on this. I know it's a tricky topic, some tricky questions here, and thank you for answering those for the students and again for the industry. We really hope that things get better from here, and I completely agree with you, Gerard, that Malaysia is in a really good spot right now, as when we compare it to some of the other countries in the region and around the world too. So that's it. I would like to thank all the panelists and everyone who joined us today. Thank you.